Hi, welcome back to my garden. Now, I'm going to continue sharing ideas, content from the rather wonderful book Transcend by the psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman. And I'm going to continue sharing ideas, even though I'm nowhere near finishing the book. Well, that probably doesn't surprise you, but I must confess the last few weeks, perhaps months, have been busy. More than busy, they've been lacking routine, and I suppose that affects reading. Luckily, I haven't even scratched the surface of the introduction. And one of the key ideas that Kaufman speaks about in the introduction is that a lot of people misinterpret Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs as being kind of like a video game. That you meet basic physiological needs, and then sort of you hear ringing bells and you celebrate, there's stars flashing across the screen, and you move up the next level in life where you take care of your security, relationships, self-esteem, and so it progresses. And a lot of people, a lot of readings, applications of the hierarchy of needs suggest that you need to meet the basic physiological needs first, and once they've been met, you progress onto these deeper, more profound needs. Now, I say a lot of people suggest that. Well, I certainly think that I would have fallen into that, I don't want to say a trap, but that way of thinking about this hierarchy. And it seemed to me that if you didn't move on, advance, progress, you were compelled almost to stagnate. And that once you had met those basic needs, well, there was nowhere left for you to go but to move on. And that perhaps that was a modern day trap, that people did stay in an area of, a very simplistic sort of life, and they made progress simply by meeting those earlier needs in ever more sophisticated or impressive ways. Let's give an example. That you live in a simple home which provides security, but when you have achieved some sort of success in your professional life, well, you move on to a bigger, better home. It doesn't necessarily provide more security, it provides more status. But nonetheless, it is simply meeting a basic sort of physiological need. However much we might dress it up as a sort of, and certainly advertisers do, material possessions as almost spiritual things, they aren't. But this is not what Maslow meant. And quite simply, we do need to continually revisit those basic needs. Life is more fluid. And it is possible to tackle needs of sticking with very much the sort of pyramid metaphor, higher and lower order needs. We can deal with that at the same time, and people sometimes do. The starving artist myth. And there's nothing wrong with that, and it's certainly not counter to Maslow's, I guess, overarching theory of how we lead a good, purposeful life. But the introduction suggests that there is a better sort of metaphor, and certainly one that I quite like. We can think of these deficiency needs, our physiological needs, security, relationships, where we lack something, as being the sort of hull of a boat. And we can then consider the growth needs, love, and the self-actualization ideas, needs built around meaning and purpose. These are kind of like the sail. So we need to satisfy and create a solid foundation, definitely mixing my metaphors here, a solid structure by meeting these deficiency needs, by eliminating the uncertainty, the shortfall. And this will allow us to progress on the sort of ocean of ideas of life with confidence, security. But for us to navigate that ocean, to move forward, to get somewhere, well, we need a sail. And that's whether it's simply taking us forward as the wind blows, or we become better at directing it. Be that as it may, either way, we're going somewhere. But going somewhere in a leaky boat is problematic. And perhaps it's doable, but you will find yourself bailing out a lot of water from time to time. Now, as always, I am pushing this metaphor long beyond where it probably should go or is reasonably elegant. But I'm sure you're following the idea. And it seemed to me that looking at an image where the hierarchy of needs are not presented as a pyramid, a sort of weighty symbol of an authoritarian, status-dominated world. If we look at the hierarchy instead as being a picture of a boat, well, right there it's far more attractive. Well, it is to me anyway. Now, how far one goes with this idea of life as a journey, I know another person that I from time to time like to quote here, Alan Watts, the late popularizer of Buddhism within the West, a philosopher, and a wonderful speaker, expositor of ideas. He's fond of not describing life as a journey, but describing it as a dance. But I think we can marry the dance and the boat imagery in a nice sort of way as well. Well, that's just the introduction. I'm not sure where we're going. The early chapter, the next chapter, first part of the content proper, is looking at these deficiency needs in more detail. I really need to read probably a full section, part one, however many chapters that is. It's not an enormous book, but nor is it an afternoon read. But as busy as life has been, I thought, why not give you a little update, think about that metaphor, I wasn't sailing on a boat. I did go to a seaside spot this weekend, not too far away, but it was an evening trip, overnight trip. It was for an art gallery opening. Some folk I know were initiating an exciting new venture, so that was very nice. And that, along with a lot of other visits and bits and pieces, has meant this has been a bitty sort of week, but I thought, coming back today, why not share this rather nice metaphor? I hope you liked it. And if you did like it or have some interesting thoughts, go on, share them in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope your life is going as well as mine, that your lives are filled with joy. And until next week, from sunny Brazil, ciao.